All right, Celtics Nation, let's dive into what happened in Boston's latest outing and really break down the chaos, the bright spots, and the moments that made you scratch your head. If you were watching the game in New York and Brooklyn, you probably noticed something unusual. The Celtics were uncharacteristically sloppy with the basketball. The first thing that jumps out is that both of their high turnover games this season happened in New York. It's almost like the city itself is cursed for handling the ball. Hands get slippery, decision-making slows, and suddenly passes that normally find their mark are going to the wrong spot. These weren't just the type of turnovers that happen when you play aggressively and push the tempo. Often, when a team racks up 20 turnovers, some of those come from simply trying to play fast or taking calculated risks that don't pan out. But these games were different. Most of the turnovers were not strategic errors. They were mistakes that made you wince. The ball literally slipped out of someone's hands, or a pass was thrown too soon, or a defender simply snatched it away. You could even joke that someone spiked the Gatorade because the team looked lost on the court for stretches. Trying to find a reason, you could speculate a lot. Maybe the Celtics underestimated Brooklyn, who at that time had a losing record and came in expecting an easy night. Or maybe the team was just bothered by the kind of physical, athletic defense that Brooklyn showed, a step more aggressive than what Boston normally faces. Either way, the result was a lot of sloppy plays and turnovers that piled up before halftime. But what's fascinating about this team is how they respond to adversity. Even when the first half looked ugly and frustrating, there were moments where individual performances kept Boston within striking distance. Peyton Pritchard's early push in the first quarter was critical. He gave the team some breathing room and kept them in the game while the rest of the offense struggled to find rhythm. And when Jaylen Brown took over in the third quarter, scoring 17 points in that stretch alone, it became clear that while the Celtics were committing mistakes, they were still capable of overcoming them with sheer effort and talent. Jaylen, despite racking up 8 turnovers in that game, was also making up for his own missteps. He was taking control in critical moments and showing why he's a cornerstone for this team. Watching him, it was obvious that even the best players have nights where the game doesn't flow naturally, where decision-making feels off, and yet they still manage to carry the team. The second half showed a major turnaround, especially in terms of defense. Derek White's performance was eye-catching, almost a defensive masterclass. He was everywhere, blocking shots, stealing the ball, and essentially dictating the tempo on that end of the floor. When the Celtics came out after halftime, they forced 9 turnovers in the second half alone and limited Brooklyn to just a few easy points off mistakes. White's defensive awareness was championship level, the kind of instincts that can swing momentum in close games. Alongside him, other players contributed in ways that don't always show up fully in the box score. Peyton Pritchard, for instance, not only scored efficiently but also grabbed rebounds, dished out assists, and ran the team like a conductor guiding an orchestra. He had a 22-point, 10-rebound, 5-assist line, showing that when he's locked in, he can manage multiple facets of the game seamlessly. His shooting from deep was on point, and his hustle on both ends was a crucial factor in the Celtics' eventual climb back from a double-digit deficit. Jaylen Brown's performance is interesting to dissect because the stats tell one story and the eye test tells another. 29 points for assists, 3 rebounds, and 8 turnovers. On paper, that's still a strong contribution, but the turnovers were brutal, ugly, and frustrating to watch. You could see moments where he looked tired or overwhelmed, trying to handle too much responsibility while also carrying the scoring load. The third quarter was especially telling. Even as he scored 17 points in that period, he was part of nearly half the team's turnovers. It's one of those situations where the numbers only partially capture the reality. The effort was there, the skill was there, but the execution was flawed, and yet, remarkably, Boston still came out with a win. That's the kind of resilience this team has been building all season. They can look sloppy at times, they can have nights where nothing seems to go right, but they find ways to pull it together when it counts. Looking ahead, this victory pushed the Celtics above 500 for the first time this season, moving to an 8-7 record. That might not seem monumental on its own, but considering the upcoming schedule, it's crucial. They have another matchup with Brooklyn on Friday and then Orlando on Sunday. Orlando has been inconsistent, so Boston has the opportunity to build momentum before hitting a tough stretch with Detroit, Minnesota, Cleveland, New York, Washington, and even a back-to-back with the Lakers. The key is to win the games you're supposed to win, set up streaks of victories, and ideally steal a win or two against stronger opponents to position yourself better in the standings. That's what this Brooklyn game represented, a chance to reset, figure things out, and start stacking wins to enter the grueling part of the schedule in a strong position. Beyond the team effort, individual contributions in this game were telling. Derek White's defensive impact, Peyton Pritchard's versatility, and Jaylen Brown's ability to score, even when off his game, illustrate that Boston has multiple avenues to succeed. White's chase-down blocks, steals, and defensive anticipation gave the team critical possessions and allowed the offense to run in transition. Pritchard's combination of scoring, rebounding, and playmaking showed why he's becoming indispensable as a floor general and energy driver. Jaylen, despite the turnovers, demonstrated leadership by taking control in the third quarter and shouldering the scoring burden when the team needed him most. Each player's contributions were magnified in a game where the Celtics didn't play clean basketball, showing that individual effort and determination can compensate for collective sloppiness, at least temporarily. The Celtics' ability to overcome adversity, adapt mid-game, and rely on versatile contributors will be tested repeatedly in the coming weeks. Maintaining focus, minimizing errors, and building on performances like White's and Pritchard's while hoping for Brown to reduce turnovers will be key. It's clear that this team is resilient, talented, and capable of finding ways to win even when things are not going smoothly. The Brooklyn game may have been ugly, messy, and full of mistakes, but it was also a demonstration of grit, persistence, and the kind of character that can define a playoff-caliber team. In a long season, these moments matter. Learning how to respond when your best intentions go awry, recognizing the importance of defensive stops, and having players who can rise to the occasion even after mistakes are critical components of Boston's journey this season. Continuing from the momentum built in the first half of the narrative, the second part of the story focuses on the Celtics' adjustments, standout performances, and what this means as they push further into the season. Once the third quarter began, it became evident that Boston needed to tighten up defensively to overcome the sloppy first half. Derek White's defensive intensity set the tone. He wasn't just making plays on the ball. He was reading the game at a higher level, anticipating passes, cutting off driving lanes, and essentially forcing Brooklyn into rush decisions. That kind of high-level defensive awareness is what turns a team that is struggling into a team capable of stringing together victories, even on nights when the offense isn't clicking perfectly. By the end of the game, the Celtics had completely flipped the turnover narrative, forcing 9 turnovers in the second half while only giving up a few points on mistakes. It was a clear demonstration that defensive focus can create offensive opportunities, especially for a team with playmakers ready to capitalize on them. Peyton Pritchard, once again, was a pivotal figure in Boston's comeback. After a strong showing in the first quarter, he maintained that level of intensity throughout the game. His ability to score, rebound, and distribute effectively made him indispensable. With 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, he wasn't just filling the stat sheet. He was orchestrating the offense, making sure the ball moved efficiently, and finding the right opportunities for his teammates. His three-point shooting was precise, hitting nearly half of his attempts from deep, which forced Brooklyn defenders to respect him on the perimeter and opened up lanes for drives and cutting teammates. Beyond the scoring, Pritchard's work on the boards was crucial, especially considering the Celtics' struggles with turnovers. His presence on both ends of the floor gave the team stability when the game threatened to spiral out of control. Jaylen Brown's performance continues to be a fascinating study in duality. While the 8 turnovers were painful and highlighted some moments of fatigue and rushed decision-making, his scoring ability was undeniable. He poured in 29 points, with a particularly dominant third quarter that kept the Celtics in striking distance when the game felt chaotic. His shooting percentages were efficient, nearly 50% from the field, over 40% from 3, and perfect from the free throw line. Despite the errors, Brown's ability to push through and deliver when needed, demonstrates why he is considered a cornerstone for this squad. The combination of scoring bursts, defensive effort, and leadership under pressure is what allows the Celtics to maintain competitiveness even when the team collectively struggles. It's the kind of performance that reminds fans that numbers alone don't capture the full impact of a player who can carry a team through challenging stretches. The broader narrative of this game reflects larger patterns the Celtics have experienced this season. They've had nights where execution falters, where turnovers pile up, and where mistakes seem to snowball. But what sets them apart is their resilience and ability to respond. The second-half adjustments, particularly defensively, show a team capable of learning and adapting mid-game. By forcing turnovers, tightening rotations, and capitalizing on fast break opportunities, they turned a game that could have slipped away into a hard-fought win. This ability to self-correct in real time is a hallmark of teams that contend for championships. It's not just about talent on paper. It's about how players respond when the game isn't going their way, and Boston displayed that characteristic in spades. Looking ahead, the Celtics' schedule presents opportunities and challenges. They have a chance to build momentum with games against Brooklyn and Orlando, which are winnable, before entering a more grueling stretch with Detroit, Minnesota, Cleveland, New York, Washington, and the Lakers. Winning the games they are expected to win and stealing victories against stronger opponents will be crucial for maintaining a winning record and positioning themselves favorably in the Eastern Conference. The importance of these next few games cannot be overstated. Establishing a rhythm, minimizing unforced errors, and continuing to rely on versatile contributors like White, Pritchard, and Brown will be key to navigating this period successfully. This stretch of the season will test their depth, endurance, and ability to maintain focus under pressure, but it also provides a platform to string together winning streaks that could define their campaign. Defensively, Boston has shown that effort and awareness can overcome lapses in other areas. Derek White's impact in the second half was a prime example. Blocks, steals, and intelligent positioning allowed the Celtics to dominate transition opportunities and limit easy points for Brooklyn. Paired with the contributions of Pritchard and Brown, the team demonstrated that individual defensive effort, when aligned with team strategy, can shift the tide even when the offense isn't perfect. These moments highlight the Celtics' capacity for balance, understanding that basketball isn't just about scoring, but about controlling tempo, limiting opponent opportunities, and creating situations where mistakes can be leveraged into advantages. Individually, the game provided insight into each player's growth and resilience. White's defensive versatility and anticipation, Pritchard's leadership and multifaceted contributions, and Brown's ability to deliver under pressure, even in a game marred by turnovers, illustrate a team that can rely on multiple pillars to succeed. It is in these nuanced performances that the Celtics' potential becomes apparent. They can overcome adversity not only through sheer talent, but through effort, awareness, and adaptability. The lessons from this game, especially the ability to respond to chaos and make mid-game adjustments, will be invaluable as the team tackles upcoming challenges. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. A low murmur rippled through the corridors of the Barclays Center long after the final buzzer, and it wasn't because of anything that happened on the scoreboard. Instead, it was the unexpected comment from a Nets player that ignited a swirl of speculation, one that has only grown louder with each retelling. Witnesses described the scene as oddly tense, a subtle shift in atmosphere as reporters leaned in and cameras clicked on. No one seemed prepared for the tone or the subtext lodged in his response when asked about facing the Boston Celtics. The player, usually measured and almost rehearsed in his post-game approach, let something slip, something that many are now dissecting frame by frame. He spoke about certain things happening on the court and hinted at attitudes that don't exactly stay between the lines. The words themselves were vague enough to be harmless, yet sharp enough to cut straight into the league's rumor mill. Within minutes, whispers circulated that he might have been referring to trash talk that crossed a line, a brewing personal rivalry, or even frustration with decisions made by those in stripes. What fueled the fire even more was the way he paused before delivering his final sentence, looking almost as if he debated holding back. Instead, he added that some teams play a different kind of game, a remark that instantly sparked theories about physicality, mind games, and everything in between. Reporters later described the moment as electric, one of those rare times when a single ambiguous comment overshadows an entire night of basketball. Around the league, players and analysts have begun offering their own interpretations, each more layered than the last. Social media, naturally, has taken the mystery and stretched it into every possible direction. Hidden feuds, locker room frustrations, strategic jabs, even speculation about tensions that have simmered beneath the surface for seasons. Nobody knows exactly what he meant, and perhaps that's why the story refuses to fade. The Nets have made no official statement, and the player himself hasn't clarified beyond the original remark. But the buzz persists, gaining momentum like a snowball rolling downhill. Whatever the truth is, it's clear that a few cryptic words have managed to eclipse the highlights, fueling a storyline that shows no signs of cooling off anytime soon. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.